Twitter sells for an unprecedented $44 billion to one Elon Musk. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that, what that means, and what's going on for that. The White House and the left open up calls for a reform of Section 230 on the wake of Elon Musk buying Twitter. So we'll talk just a bit about what that means and where we go from there. Plus, we'll have some Meltdown for this. In other news, which is going to be all the way to the back half of the show, Trump is ordered to comply with the subpoena and fine $10,000 a day for every day that he doesn't give over records, as the New York State attorney thinks that he should. So that's a little bit corrupt, but we'll see what's happening with that. And a federal judge blocks Biden from ending Title 42. It is going to be all this and more. You're just mad you can't date me. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got a lot of Meltdown tweets to get to today. I'm not going to lie, the vast majority of the show is going to be talking about the Twitter thing. I didn't want to do it, but yesterday was way too hilarious to avoid some of the stuff here. And we're still taunting, too, by the way. Like, while I had the title card up, I found that one of the people that they promote to the top of everybody's feed, whoever this Jack Cacciarella is, Dear Elon Musk, don't bring Trump back on Twitter because just because I sincerely all Americans. And of course I had to quote tweet that out and say, well, spoiler alert, he doesn't speak for all Americans. So let's get down to it. Let's get started because we have got a lot to go over here today. And the insomnia bug struck again, and man, am I tired. That's where we got a little bit of a late launch here today, but let's get into it. Before we get started, head on over and check out turnsofpagesproductions.com. Turnsofpagesproductions.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs, where we are set to carry great shows such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Porch Boys, plus appearances by Brit Salt, and a new upcoming show that is going to be a big surprise once we get up and launch, except for the people who are in the know, because some of you guys already know what's going on with that. You know what would be funny as shit? If this whole Twitter thing goes through and everything goes back and people's accounts start getting restored. Number one, I am looking forward to the grand return of the Ron Helton Twitter account, because that's going to be hilarious. Especially when there's no botting to go shut his anti-government stance back down. That's going to be great. But the big Stephen Ignoramus Twitter account, I'm waiting for that one to come back. That one's going to be a good time. I'm actually looking forward to seeing a lot of these big accounts that we see, a lot of them coming back, because, well, I do think that everybody should have the chance to speak freely. I just want the chance to rebut it. I know it was another one that I was taunting right before we got started too, where they were talking about the MSNBC video with the meltdown about Twitter, which we have on the stack because I found that I put that up on the stack. But, you know, with Clay Travis coming out, there's somebody coming back and saying, "Oh, Clay, you just want your side to be able to rig the system." And I said, I can't speak for Clay Travis, but what I can say for this is I don't want anybody to rig the system. I don't want the system to be rigged. I want MSNBC to be able to tweet as loudly and as stupidly as they want. I just want the chance to rebut them without my reply getting pushed down to the bottom and saying, "Show other replies." These replies might contain offensive language or ideas that are outside the mainstream. Shit like that. And the botting to end too. I want some of these dumb fucks to get ratioed the way that they deserve. That's what I want. And a lot of them deserve it here. But anyway, turnspagesproductions.com. Go check out all the creators on there. And if you do want to help out, we've got givesendgo.com/turnspages101. Looking for a $2,000 prize off of that. If you guys really want to help out, that's something that's going to help us out a lot here. To make sure that Bobby Joe gets paid, because we like Bobby Joe around here. We want to make sure that she makes a decent living back up off of this. We want to make sure that she's doing well. And we have an idea where we want to go. It's just a matter of bringing out the funding right now. And we do want to bring out a level of news for you that is by the common man for the common man. We see the Tim Pools who are running off Vice money. We see the Ben Shapiros that are running off rich LA lawyer money. None of these people are like you. They're good people, don't get me wrong, but none of these people are like you. So we want to build a website that is by the common man for the common man. If you would help us out, givesendgo.com/turnspages101. Let's get into it. Let's get started. Let's first look at the finance as we always do at the top of the morning here. And by the way, it looks like for at least a temporary setup, the Twitter sale to Elon Musk put a boost onto the Dow. Going up through the day on a choppy session, the Dow dropped throughout the day yesterday, but turned around about the time that the deal went back through. Just a little bit before the deal went through at about noon my time, everything started to turn back up and did crest and break the previous close, coming back up to 34,049.46 over 33,811.40. That is up 0.7% throughout the day yesterday, so that's what we see coming off of that. Looking in at the Bitcoin, coming back on a 5-day, the Bitcoin is to $40,500 and 60 US cents, and that is a significant jump from yesterday's high 39. So those of you who bought on the dip also came back out and won, so congratulations to that. Looking at the gas prices, now the gas prices are not going up per se in the Madison area, but the low price leaders are getting bumped off more and more as we go further and further into the Biden price hikes coming back up off of this. Oh, I said Biden price hikes. I meant Putin price hikes. Fucking spare me. The race in Sun Prairie is your low price leader at 366. Whereas our low price leaders were into the high 340s and mid 350s for the last couple days. But everybody else is hanging within a couple pennies of each other, 367, 368, 369 for the Fleet Farm and DeForest. So that's what we see coming off the gas. A lot, like I say, a lot of the expensive stuff is staying where it's at, but a lot of the gas prices are starting to catch up at other stations, bring us back into where things are more expensive and considerably more expensive than they were at this time last year. So that's what we see off of that. Let's grab one from IBD and see what's happening in the markets. Dow futures fall after stock market bounce. Alphabet, Microsoft, Visa to report. From Scott Latonin. Dow futures were squarely lower Tuesday morning, threatening to give back a part of Monday's stock market bounce. Tech giants Alphabet and Microsoft, along with Dow Jones stock Visa, will report their quarterly earnings late on Tuesday. 3M, Packaging Corporation of America, PepsiCo, Raytheon, and UPS were key earnings movers Tuesday morning. 3M fell 1%, Packaging Corp rallied 3.5%, and Pepsi dipped 0.2%. Raytheon moved down almost 1%, which is a shock given all the money that we're supposedly sending over to the Ukraine right now, and UPS stock gained about 2% ahead of Tuesday's open. Twitter edged up 0.5% on Monday's 5.7% jump, and electric vehicle giant Tesla edged lower Tuesday morning. On Monday, Twitter agreed to be acquired by Tesla CEO Elon Musk in a deal worth about $44 billion. Hey look, we have to go back to the top over a 72-hour flash sale. Among the Dow Jones leaders, Apple and Microsoft were both modestly lower in today's stock market. Amid a new stock market correction, Dow leader American Express, along with IBD leaderboard LPL Financial, Expedia, Palo Alto, and World Wrestling Entertainment are among Tuesday's top stocks to watch. Microsoft and Tesla are on the IBD leaderboard. Expedia and Palo Alto were featured in this week's Stocks Near a Buy Zone column. On the futures, ahead of Tuesday's open, Dow futures declined 0.5%, while S&P also dropped 0.5%, and NASDAQ 100 declined 0.55% versus fair value. Remember that overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Among ETFs, the NASDAQ Invesco QQQ Trust lost 0.4%, and the SPDR S&P 500 ETF moved down 0.35%. The 10-year Treasury yield ticked down to 2.79% on Tuesday after closing Monday at 2.82%, which is fantastic given the fact that we're not having the same production. And that's telling us that we're not going to be printing money as fast, so good on the American economy for that. It's not great. It's not a great number by any stretch of the imagination, but it's better than it was and almost hitting 3% without the production to back it up. Last week, the 10-year Treasury yield hit its highest level since December of 2018. Meanwhile, U.S. oil prices were up nearly 1% as Texas Intermediate crude traded just above $99 a barrel. So that's what we're seeing coming up out of the markets. They're calling ourselves into a correction right now. We will see what happens with that. We will see where this goes. Let's grab one from Market Watch. And then, well, the inevitable big news of the day. Let's get into it. After this, market not seeing a low yet, says Morgan Stanley Wilson, after ominous signal late last week. From William Watts. Is this supposed to start all the way back here? No. Mike Wilson, Chief Investment Officer at Morgan Stanley, has appeared bearishly on target in 2022, and the April slump for equities likely hasn't gone far enough to set the stage for a lasting rebound, he told CNBC on Monday. It's an environment that has seen defensive plays, healthcare, real estate, investment trusts, utilities, and such perform extremely well. That's provided some resilience to the S&P 500 SPX, which has held up to close and close. They're too similar. Which has held up to close less than 11% below its January 3rd record on Friday, even as the average S&P 500 stock is in a bear market, defined as a fall of 20% or more from a recent peak. That may be due to change after a fairly ominous performance for stocks on Thursday and Friday. Wilson said when defensive stocks fell alongside deep cyclical sectors such as energy and materials that had seen some extraordinary strength in recent trade. And that tells me that we're going into this final phase, which is the good news. The silver lining is that maybe we can finally complete this bear market over the next month or so, he said, adding that a pullback of 20% from the S&P 500 from its early January high just shy of 4,800 would kind of clear the decks for us, we think, heading into the second half. A 20% drop from the S&P 500's record close would take it to 38,3725, around 9.4% below its midday level on Monday. Stocks were down, but off session lows after a sharp sell-off on Friday that saw the Dow and nearly 1,000 points lower and post its biggest daily percentage drop since October of 2020. So that's what we see coming off the markets. Just some things to look into off of that. Number one, if you have a chance to get into the last little remnants of Tesla before it's taken private, I don't have official financial advice for you, but I would definitely look at that and definitely talk to your investor about that to see if you can make a little bit of a quick buck off of that. Some of them will tell you that's a bad idea. Some of them will tell you it's probably a good idea, but we'll see what happens off of that. And otherwise, just kind of hunker down and make sure that you've got some liquidity there in case you do have to go and buy extremely inflated food on a massive shortage. So that's what we see coming off of that. Let's grab one from CNBC to start off the morning here. Twitter accepts Elon Musk's buyout deal, from Lauren Feiner.
Twitter's board has accepted an offer from billionaire Elon Musk to buy the social media company and take it private, the company announced on Monday. The stock closed up 5.64% for the day after it was halted for the news. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated, Musk said in a statement, included in the press release announcing the $44 billion deal. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source, to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. I am probably not going to verify, I'm not going to lie. At least not until I have to. The cash deal at $54.20 per share is valued at around $44 billion. According to the press release, Twitter would become a private company on completion of the deal, which requires shareholder and regulatory approval. So the SEC can still step in here and kill this. The announcement ends a weeks-long saga Musk kicked off when he disclosed a large stake in the company. Soon after, the company said he would join the board, only for Musk to reverse course on that plan several days later. Then he offered to buy the company at $54.20 a share, his best and final. That offer valued Twitter at about $43 billion. Assuming the deal closes and Musk takes ownership of Twitter, the company would be controlled by the world's richest person, and someone who's been a heavy critic of the platform while using it in legally contentious ways, mostly through sensitive posts about his car manufacturer Tesla. You'll love the editorial. CNBC fucking hates this. And I'm here for it. I mean, if we have to go through many more episodes that are laid out like this one is, I'm going to have to start eating popcorn in the morning just to watch the stupidity. And I try not to eat on stream. Though Musk has indicated his primary interest in Twitter has to do with what he views as the company's censorship of free speech, Musk critics are concerned that the billionaire's control of the platform will result in the silencing of their voices and others with whom he may disagree, given that he's often blocked critics from his personal account. Full stop. Full stop. Now, yes, he has blocked people from his personal account. So has Dorsey, by the way. I believe I was blocked by Dorsey for a while. I don't think I am anymore. But as far as Musk goes, yes, he blocks you. He blocked Reich. Reich came out and bragged about the fact that Elon blocked Reich. But you know what? Reich still has the opportunity to go down on his platform and spread his stupid and hateful fucking ideas. He's not silenced. It's just Elon doesn't have to hear it. Twitter's board sought to fend off a hostile takeover by adopting a so-called poison pill, or shareholder rights agreement that would allow other shareholders to buy stock at a discount should Musk or another person acquire more than 15% of outstanding common stock. The plan would dilute the person's holdings in a strategy commonly employed to prevent unwanted acquisitions. The board seemed to have two reasons to consider rejecting the deal. The first was that the offer, while priced well above Twitter's current share price, was arguably too low given it had recently surged above that price tag. The second was that it was initially unclear how Musk would fund the deal, despite his being the world's richest person. Much of his wealth is tied up in Tesla stock, meaning he would likely have to borrow against his holdings to fund the deal. Wait, what? What? Are you telling me that a wealthy person doesn't just have a money bin full of money that they can come back out and liquidate at whim? What? Is a left-leaning company telling me that all of a sudden? What is the deal? Oh my goodness. But the offer became more concrete once Musk announced in the Securities and Exchange Commission filing that he received commitments for $46.5 billion to help finance his potential deal. That included about $25.5 billion in debt financing from Morgan Stanley senior funding and other firms. He said he committed about $21 billion in equity financing. Elon said in the same filing he was exploring a tender offer to purchase shares of Twitter directly from shareholders. Musk's interest in Twitter came from his own frequent use of the platform. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO often uses his large platform to share jokes, engage with his 83.6 million followers, and make business announcements. The latter has gotten him into some trouble. He came under SEC investigation after tweeting in 2018 that he'd secured funding at $4.20 a share to take Tesla private. The agency charged Musk with securities fraud. As a result of those tweets, Musk and Tesla reached a revised settlement agreement over those charges in 2019, which Musk is now attempting to terminate. So there it is. The deal is accepted. The SEC is looking it over, making sure it all looks good, and Elon is about to own Twitter. And the meltdown is incredible. We will watch some of that a little bit later as we go into this big block of tweets that's sitting over here. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Let's grab some more news out of this. Opinion. Who will be the first to abandon Elon Musk's Twitter? Oh. I have that on the stack. I know who the first to abandon it was. I have it out there. We'll watch. We'll see it. This is an op-ed from Kara Alamo. Editor's note, Kara Alamo, an associate professor at the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication at Hofstra University, writes about issues affecting women in social media. She was a spokeswoman for the international affairs in the Treasury Department during the Obama admin. Oh, so this is going to be a very objective piece. Follow her on Twitter at Karen Alamo. So she's not going to be the first one, obviously. The opinions expressed in this commentary are solely those of the author. View more opinion at CNN. On Monday, the story that the business world has been anxiously following came to a dramatic climax. Twitter has greenlit its sale to Elon Musk in a $44 billion deal at $54.20 a share. If Musk follows through on what he's proposed, the sale may be the death knell for the social media platform, but in the best case scenario, it could motivate the creation of another social media networks that are safer, healthier places for all, i.e. echo chamber. We'll be talking about that later on. Musk has been vocal that he thinks Twitter should be a platform for mostly unfettered speech. In an interview at the TED conference earlier this month, Musk said he wanted to keep as much speech that is legal on the platform as possible and didn't want to kick users off, though he also somewhat paradoxically said he wanted to crack down on spam and the fake accounts known as bots, which, while annoying and potentially dangerous, are legal. Right. But he doesn't want people to be able to puff up their numbers by using these programs like this. Yes, it's legal, but it still sucks. And it makes the platform suck. It makes it great for people like you and people like fucking Hog, and I called him out on this earlier, where if they're starting to get ratio, they just go and hit a button and like, oh, hey, look at all these new likes. Look at all these new likes that I have. Hey, I'm not getting ratioed anymore. Or if they want to come back out and bot some conservative out there and ratio that person, you start to see a bunch of Twitter egg accounts saying, China is great, you are going to jail, over and over again. And it's the same response over again. So, I mean, botting is great, again, for people like Alamo. Last month, he tweeted that free speech is essential to a functioning democracy and polled users whether they believe Twitter rigorously adheres to the principle. But I predict that allowing harmful forms of free speech, like misogyny and hate on Twitter, will actually have an effect of silencing many people and will be disastrous for the social network. That's because thoughtful users aren't going to voluntarily keep using a platform on which they're bombarded with abuse. Translation. These people want to have an echo chamber where they can come back up and say whatever stupid shit that they want and not get called out for their fucking bullshit. And that's legitimately what this is all about. And a lot of them have admitted as such. Oh, we're going to go to Mastodon. We're going to go to this. We're going to go to that. And one thing that I've noticed along this, because a lot of people are pointing out the fact that, conservatives had to go steal Twitter. And Twitter's going to turn exactly into Parler. And we're going to go to Mastodon. And we're going to make Mastodon. What I've noticed about the leftoids who are freaking out about this is they seem to want to have the ability to come back out and tweet and speak stupidly in their echo chamber and not have anybody pierce the veil of what they believe is actual economics. They want to be able to smell each other's farts and reinforce their own ideas by being lifted up by other people. And that's all well and good. Now, I've been ratioed a few times, and when I do, I take it. I really do. Sometimes I mute the thread just because, again, we get the bots, and the bots come in, and the Sims come in, and I took a shot at a comedian once, and like 10,000 people decided that they had to go descend on that, and I don't know that all of them are human. But it was nothing but insults at that point. I would advise people to not insult, but actually have a constructive criticism of these people. But they don't want that either. But what I've noticed about this is, yeah, like I just said, the left they want to have their echo chamber where they go back and sit and reinforce their ideas and have no competition with each other. And the right, with the exception of the hardest mega right, want to engage in the discussion, want to see where the common ground is. They want to pierce the veil, and they want their veil pierced too. They go where the people are that disagree with them. Like, hey, this is my idea. I think your idea sucks. Let's debate. Let's talk about it. And it's more than just the Libertarian Party, debate me, bro, kind of people. I don't know what comedian it was. I didn't know the person was a comedian, but a lot of the ratioing people were like, oh, well, this is a comedian. Are you sure you want to get into this? I mean, fuck it. I'll take the ratio. I said what I said. And the first people to flee are likely to be those who are on the receiving end of the worst of it. Women and people of color. A 2020 study by the Economist Intelligence Unit found that 38% of women around the world have personally experienced online threats such as doxing. Oh, like the lady from Lips of TikTok by chance? Hacking, stalking, and misinformation defamation. And 85% of women have witnessed it. According to the UN, at least 3/4 of the victims of online hate in many countries are members of minority groups. According to research by Pew, while women are far more likely than men to use Facebook and Instagram, they're less likely to use Twitter and Reddit, which have become infamous for trolling. Bloomberg Technology host Emily Chang writes in her book, Brotopia, Breaking Up the Boys Club of Silicon Valley, that cyber hate is a far bigger, more visible problem on Reddit and Twitter than it is on Facebook and Instagram, because my Facebook account is private and I have to accept friends before they can interact with me. I almost never see hurtful comments. This tells me that women already avoid social networks on which they think that they'll be abused. And if the abuse gets worse, it'll have a profound effect on the kinds of discussions that happen on the platform. Okay, bye. As the writer Lindy West pointed out in The Guardian, internet trolling might seem like an issue that only affects a certain subset of people, but that's only true if you believe that living in the world devoid of diverse voices, public discourse shaped primarily by white, heterosexual, able-bodied men, ableist, I stand with Dan, wouldn't profoundly affect your life. So there it is. The Twitter takeover is full-on misogyny. That's what we see off of that. From Reuters. Musk gets Twitter for $44 billion to cheers and fears of free speech plan. From Greg Rumaloitis. Elon Musk clinched a deal to buy Twitter for $44 billion cash on Monday in a transaction that will shift control of the social media platform populated by millions of users and global leaders to the world's richest person. It was a seminal moment for people who are blocked by Reuters' archiving stupid system, which emerged as the world's most influential public squares and is now facing a string of challenges. Musk has criticized Twitter's moderation, calling himself a free speech absolutist, said that Twitter's algorithm for prioritizing tweets should be public, and has criticized giving too much power on the service to corporations that advertise. Political activists expect a Musk regime will mean less moderation and reinstatement of banned individuals, including former President Trump. And that does seem to be, by the way, what they're panicking the most about, the fact that President Trump has a platform that he can go back and reach people on, that they haven't shoved him into silence anymore. That seems to be the biggest panic. Conservatives cheered the prospect of fewer controls, while some human rights activists voiced fears of a rise in hate speech. Musk himself has described user-friendly tweaks to the service, such as an edit button, and defeating spam bots that send overwhelming amounts of unwanted tweets or undeserved likes. Discussions over the deal, which last week appeared uncertain, accelerated over the weekend after Musk wooed Twitter shareholders with financing details in his offer. Under pressure, Twitter started negotiating with Musk to buy the company at his proposed $54.20 per share price. So, there it is, $44 billion. What a time to be alive. Let's grab another one from CNBC. In DC, Musk's Twitter deal is either a free speech victory or a fuel to the tax the rich. Yeah, we'll see that. Plus another call, too, to reform Section 230. Which I find hilarious because everybody's reversing their position on the same thing. From Lauren Feiner. Depending on who you ask in DC, Monday's news that Twitter's board has accepted Elon's $44 billion offer to buy the company and take it private either marks the return of free speech online or proof that billionaires like Musk must pay higher taxes. Free speech is making a comeback, tweeted Jim Jordan of Ohio, ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee last week, asked Twitter's board to preserve documents related to Musk's offer, signaling a potential probe should Republicans take control of the chamber. Tax the rich, tweeted Mark Buchan of Wisconsin, who was an asshole, by the way. That's the Madison representative. Those were the two prominent themes from lawmakers on the right and left, respectively, surrounding the news of the deal. The reactions highlight how differently both sides see the core issue in the tech industry, underscoring why Congress has yet to pass legislation that could seriously impact the sector on topics including digital privacy, antitrust, and content moderation. My first question here, because I don't know if he sold stock to finance this or if this is just out on a loan, is what is the capital gains tax going to be on this? Not the unrealized gains. I realize that that's going to be what they're going to try to push this for right now. But if he did have to liquidate stock for this, what are they going to pop him and pinch him for capital gains on $44 billion? Be kind of excited to see that, actually. On the right, optimism about free speech on Twitter stems from Musk's own critiques of the platform. Content moderation practices. Musk called Twitter the digital town square in a statement accompanying the press release of the news. At an earlier public appearance after he disclosed his offer to buy the company, Musk said he generally prefers timeouts to permanent bans, which suggests that there could be a path for former President Trump to return to the platform if he so chooses. Twitter banned Trump from the platform following his tweets around the Selfie Fest at the Capitol last year. At the time, Twitter said it made the decision due to the risk of further incitement of violence. Big tech cannot continue to silence people. They are not and should not be the arbiters of truth, tweeted Kathy McMorris Rogers, R. Washington, ranking member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which has worked on privacy and content moderation bills. It's time to replace big tech censorship with the battle of ideas, and I'm hopeful for a new free speech direction at Twitter. Today is an encouraging day for freedom of speech, tweeted Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, who has introduced legislation to restrict online platforms' liability shield around content moderation. I'm hopeful that Elon will help rein in big tech's history of censoring users that have a different viewpoint. Meanwhile, many Democratic lawmakers tweeted about Musk's purchase, focused on more on his buying power than the potential impact of Twitter's product. Elizabeth Warren tweeted, "This deal is dangerous for our democracy. Husband, would you like a beer? I need to de-stress about this. Billionaires like Elon Musk play by a different set of rules than everyone else, accumulating power for their own gain. We need a wealth tax," which there already is, it's called capital gains, "and strong rules to hold big tech accountable. But see, they want unrealized gains because they want to be able to go into their rich person piggy bank whenever the fuck they want. Bonnie Watson Coleman of New Jersey tweeted that the $44 billion value of the deal is less than 17% of his estimated $264.6 billion net worth. Billionaires like Musk pay lower tax rates than firefighters, teachers, and nurses. That's a load of bullshit. If that sounds absurd, it's because it is. No, it sounds absurd because it's not true. It's just that billionaires don't have a regular income. They liquidate what they need at the time and they pay the capital gains on it. We need a billionaire minimum income tax. If they can afford to buy Twitter, they can afford to pay their fair share in taxes. Catherine Clark of Massachusetts tweeted before the news became official. If it's absurd that one person can afford to buy Twitter for more than $40 billion while working families across the country have to choose every day between buying groceries or the prescription drugs, Pramila Jayapal wrote prior to the official announcement. So, yeah, it's a matter of lies, misinformation, disinformation, and statistics, of course. I didn't archive this yet. We can do that right now while we're looking at this. But trying to get to a certain narrative and tell you that this is what it is that they want to do. Let's grab one from Insider. Now, this is from a couple days ago, but we will be seeing where this takes us in the rest of the news cycle in just a moment. From Insider, Barack Obama said social media is turbocharging some of humanity's worst impulses and called for a reform to Section 230. Oh, wait, what? Now you want to hold social media companies accountable? No, they're not being controlled by people who are in your pocket? This is going to be telling of all of this. Because Dorsey and Parag were both in the pocket of these people. Why do you think the algorithms went the way that they did? And this is absolutely telling of where they look at this and what they want to do now. From Isabel Asher Hamilton. Barack Obama believes the social media companies need greater government oversight to limit the threat their platforms pose to democracy. In a speech about disinformation at Stanford on Thursday, when was this article written? It doesn't give me a date. I believe this was this past Thursday, though. In a speech about disinformation at Stanford on Thursday, the former president said the modern internet landscape was one of the biggest reasons for democracy's weakening. And it was turbocharging some of humanity's worst impulses. Not all of these effects are intentional or even avoidable. They're simply the consequences of billions of humans suddenly plugged into an instant, 24/7 global information stream, Obama said. But not all problems that we're seeing now are an inevitable byproduct of this new technology. They're also the result of very specific choices made by companies that have come to dominate the internet generally and social media platforms in particular, he added. Obama said social media companies that optimized for speed, personalization, and engagement had led to deeper divides and polarization in society. Well, what I'm telling you is I'm convinced that the trends that we're seeing will get worse, Obama said, adding that he believes increasingly sophisticated artificial intelligence will make disinformation harder to spot. He suggested reforming Section 230, a law that broadly protects tech companies from liability for things users post on their platforms that guards the right to moderate content as they see fit. It's clear that tech companies that they've changed dramatically over the last 20 years. And we need to consider reforms to Section 230 to account for these changes. Joe Biden has previously said a Section 230 should be revoked. In his speech, Obama said that he wasn't convinced a wholesale repeal of 230 is the answer. Obama suggested in his speech that social media companies should allow regulators to scrutinize the algorithms they use to promote content. He said, in a democracy, we can rightly expect companies to subject the design of the products and services to some level of scrutiny. At minimum, they should have to share that information with researchers and regulators who are charged with keeping the rest of us safe. You know, it's not a safe world out there. If people believe that what I said is a lie, this is not going to be a safe world. Because people have to accept what I say as the truth. Because I'm Barack Obama. So listen to me. Because I'm the only person. I'm the Messiah. I came to save you from the evils of Trump. And I put my steward, Joe Biden, in there. I even let him have more votes than me. But that wasn't the only 230. That was just the start of this. And this, of course, was, again, all the way back to last Thursday when we still didn't know what was happening with this. Reading from the Blaze, Senator Warren says Elon Musk's deal to buy Twitter is dangerous for our democracy. Probably as the subtitle or the subheadline reads, because that Elon got in there and called her Senator Karen. For good reason. From Alex Nitzberg. Billionaire Elon Musk has reached a deal to buy Twitter, but Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts has warned the deal is dangerous for our democracy. Twitter announced a press release Monday the company has entered the definitive agreement to be acquired by an entity wholly owned by Elon Musk for $54.20 a share in a cash transaction. We saw this. But Warren is sounding the alarm on the deal. This deal is dangerous for our democracy. Billionaires like Elon Musk play by a different set of rules than everyone else, accumulating power for their own gain. That's the government's job. We need a wealth tax and strong rules to hold big tech accountable. Various people responded to Warren's post, including Blaze TV host Dave Rubin of The Rubin Report, who reacted by posting a line of clown emojis that looked like that. Kevin Paffrath, a YouTuber, tweets out, "Me thinks Elizabeth Warren is dangerous for our democracy. You want to steal someone else's money and have the audacity to malign anyone who resists as being selfish themselves," Dana Lash tweeted. "You think it's unfair that Elon has so much money, so you think that justifies you stealing his money? Absurd and greedy politicians like you need less power, not more," Liz Wheeler tweeted. So, good. She needs to definitely get ratioed and roasted for this. Oh, the Blaze, you suck. But that's what we have coming off of that. Here's the press secretary, red-haired bobblehead, talking about 230.
The Surgeon General has said that misinformation about COVID amounts to a public health crisis.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, regardless of ownership, would the White House be interested in working with Twitter like it has in the past to continue to combat this kind of misinformation? Or are we in a different part of the pandemic where that kind of partnership is no longer necessary?
Well, I think we engage regularly with all social media platforms about steps that can be taken. That has continued, and I'm sure it will continue. But there are also reforms that we think Congress could take, and we would support taking, including reforming Section 230, enacting antitrust reforms, requiring more transparency, and the president is encouraged by the bipartisan support for or engagement in those efforts.
The Surgeon General has said that misinformation.
So there it is, red-haired bobblehead telling you how much that she wants Section 230 to make sure that the algorithms go her way. From the Daily Wire. Our concerns are not new. Psaki won't mention Musk by name. Warren's Twitter could still promote misinformation. From Virginia Kruta. White House Press Secretary, red-haired bobblehead, would not comment specifically on the news that billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk has secured a deal to buy Twitter, but she said during Monday's press briefing that Biden remains concerned about social media platforms and their role in spreading misinformation. That's information that the administration doesn't like. Bobblehead took several questions on the topic that day, but only responded in general terms. I'm not going to comment on a specific transaction, she said, going on to note that President Biden had voiced concerns in the past about holding tech platforms accountable for the harms that they cause. Hey, you can get sued for doing something that the admin doesn't like? What do you think you're going to do with your content moderation after that? Let's listen.
Just a quick one on the breaking news, Twitter agreeing to let Elon Musk go through this purchase. Do you have a response to that? And does the White House have any concern that this new agreement might have President Trump back on the platform?
Well, I'm not going to comment on a specific transaction. What I can tell you as a general matter, no matter who owns or runs Twitter, the president has long been concerned about the power of large social media platforms, the power they have over our everyday lives, has long argued that tech platforms must be held accountable for the harms they cause. He's been a strong supporter of fundamental reforms to achieve that goal, including reforms to Section 230, enacting antitrust reforms, requiring more transparency, and more. And he's encouraged that there's bipartisan interest in Congress. In terms of what hypothetical policies might happen, I'm just not going to speak to that at this point in time.
All right, what else do we have here? Andrea Shalal from Reuters asked specifically whether Bobblehead had anything that she would like to say to Musk and whether she was concerned that purveyors of misinformation, disinformation, health falsehoods might have more access and opportunity to speak via Twitter.
Just a couple on Twitter. I want to go back, try again. Are you concerned about the kind of purveyors of election misinformation, disinformation, health falsehoods, sort of having more of an opportunity to speak there on Twitter? Is there, any message that you would convey to Elon Musk as the new owner?
Well, I would just...
Oh, that's kind of lame because they cut it off before she had a chance to answer. What else do we have?
Maybe just add to it that publicly traded companies have different levels of there's different levels of scrutiny that are possible of publicly traded companies. So, are you concerned about a billionaire taking control of a company where there's already a lot of concentration of power?
I would say that our concerns are not new. We've long talked about, and the president has long talked about his concerns about the power of social media platforms, including Twitter and others, to spread misinformation, disinformation, the need for these platforms to be held accountable. Well, I know you tried again. I appreciate that. I still don't have a specific comment on this specific transaction. And at this point, we don't have any sense of what the policies will look like.
Okay.
So that's all we're going to listen to with this woman. But yeah, it's kind of fun to sit there and see the White House now say that they want control over the information flow, or at least they want a private company that works for them to do it for them. Because constitutionally, they can't legally do it. Let's grab one. I don't know if Helton is still listening. I know that he said he was going to lurk for the day, but we happen to have one from his favorite publication, from his favorite politician. From Bloomberg, Twitter locks down product changes after agreeing to Musk bid. From Kurt Wagner and Edward Ludlow, Twitter locked down changes to the social networking platform through Friday after accepting a $44 billion bid from billionaire Musk, making it harder for employees to make unauthorized changes, according to people familiar with the matter. For now, Twitter won't allow product updates unless they're business critical, said the people, who asked not to be identified because the situation is private. The company accepted a 54/20 share bid from Musk after a whirlwind courtship that began with the Tesla Incorporated magnate disclosing a 9% stake in Twitter earlier this month. Product changes will require approval from the vice president. The people said Twitter imposed the temporary ban to keep employers who may be miffed about the deal from going rogue, according to one of the people. You know, like banning the sitting president for 6 hours. This was before his permaban, obviously, but you remember that? When just out of nowhere, President Trump, while he's sitting in office, was banned for 6 hours. Or going in and trying to put poison pills into the company or make algorithms that ban anybody who they don't like. There's so many things that they could be doing right now as this goes. The move underscores Twitter's bumpy road ahead of its transitions from a publicly held company to a private one, owned by the controversial billionaire. Many of the company's employees have been agitated about the idea of Musk taking charge and what the changes may come. Musk is a prolific tweeter and has shared many ideas for the platform, including everything from adding an edit button to turning Twitter's San Francisco headquarters into a homeless shelter. So, yes, it is locked down. They're not going to change anything, thankfully, as we sit here and figure out what's going to happen next for the company. From Newsweek. Now we're going to get into some of the reaction of this from Newsweek. First thing. Here's the advice that they have for you. How to delete your Twitter account. The cope and seethe is real from Kaleda Raymond. Twitter users have been declaring their intention to quit the social media platform as reports indicate a takeover by billionaire Elon Musk is imminent. And while Twitter stock price rose with the news of the potential deal, not all users are happy with the potential Musk owning Twitter. While with many threatening to delete their accounts, a process that can take up to 30 days. Reuters reported that Twitter is set to agree to a sale of about $43 billion in cash, and an announcement could come later on Monday after Twitter's board has met and recommended. It's already come. Earlier this month, it emerged that Musk has become Twitter's largest shareholder with a 9.2% stake. Musk, the world's richest man who boasts more than 83 million followers on Twitter, rejected an offer to join Twitter's board and announced an offer on April 14th to buy the platform for $54.20 a share. And we go down, we see the review of everything going off of this, and we come down to the crux and the meat of the article. How to delete your Twitter account. Deactivating your Twitter account starts the process of permanently deleting it. The step initiates a 30-day window that gives users the time to decide if they want to reactivate their account. Deactivating means your username or handle will not be viewable on Twitter. If you don't log into your account during the 30-day deactivation window, your Twitter account is permanently deleted. Once that happens, your account is no longer available on Twitter systems, and you won't be able to reactivate the account or have access to old tweets. When your account has been deleted, your username will be available for registration by other Twitter accounts. I kind of want to take the Sean King name. I don't know why, I just think that would be a major victory for me. Oops, I spoiled the surprise already. How to deactivate your account. In the navigation menu, tap Settings and Privacy. From your account, click Deactivate your account. Read the account deactivation information and click Deactivate. Enter your password when prompted and tap Deactivate Account button. Twitter users who want to deactivate a suspended or locked account can submit a request by clicking here. So there you go. If you want to throw a temper tantrum because Elon Musk didn't do what you wanted him to do, that's how you do it. From The Blaze. Two more articles and then it's meltdown time. Howard Dean announces if Musk takes over Twitter, I will be off within a few hours. From Alex Nitzberg. Howard Dean announced on Monday that he would leave Twitter if Elon Musk takes the reins of the social media platform. Bye! Have a beautiful time! Hi, Twitterverse. Many thanks for the knowledge and sharing over the past 10 years or so. If Musk takes over Twitter, I will be off within a few hours. Might be just as well for my well-being. I've learned a lot of valuable stuff from many of you. Thank you all, Howard. Dean, a Democrat who served as the governor of Vermont for more than a decade, is a political figure largely remembered for a shout he let out in 2004 during a presidential bid. Dean later spent time serving as the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Bye, Howard. Will you please do the crazies scream that cost you the nomination back in 2004? When you go, that was ridiculous. In fact, that's all I remember about you. Howard Dean equals irrelevant. Someone tweeted in response to Dean's post about leaving Twitter. Don't let the Twitterbird's door hit you on the way out. Bye. Stephanie Hamill retweeted. And user experience already improving. Harmeet Dillon tweeted. I guess I don't know about this scream, so if I blow out your eardrums, I apologize, but let's listen.
You know something? If you had told us 1 year ago that we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given anything for that. And you know something? You know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
What the fuck was that?
We will not give up. We will not give up in New Hampshire. We will not give up in South Carolina. We will not give up in Arizona or New Mexico, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. We will not quit now or ever. We want our country back for ordinary Americans.
And as soon as he got done with that, Howard Dean went back and changed the prescription of his heart medication. But, hey, bye. And the last one before we get into the meltdown mode is from Fox News. Announcement: Trump will not return to Twitter even as Elon Musk purchases platform, will begin using his own Truth Social. Now, a lot of people, by the way, before I get into this article, have made fun of the fact that the Donald has come out and said that, okay, well, I'm going to use Truth Social. It's going to be great. Everybody should come join me over on Truth Social. It's going to be a wonderful time. It'll be an echo chamber. Everybody can come over here and worship me. But a lot of the leftoids have pointed out that he hasn't tweeted from the beginning. Something that you really need to think about with Trump. And I do believe he does plan to run again. Just because of the actions on Truth Social. I know he's not going to go back to Twitter because that is going to jeopardize his chances of running again in the presidential election based on the fact that all the journos will stay over on Twitter and they are going to look at him and they're going to wait again. And as I always say, I do the crazy eyes when I do it and I say they're going to sit there as soon as he's on Twitter and they're going to just sit there, click there with the mouse, refresh his account over and over again and say, oh my god, no, refresh. He's going to say something racist. I'm going to be the first person to comment it. He's going to say something racist. It's going to be racist. I'm going to comment. I'm going to get clout. I'm going to end his presidential career. I'm going to get clout. Oh my god, it's going to be racist. Oh my god. And that would be a good reason for him to stay silent on Truth Social and any other social media because until he's out there on the campaign trail, everybody is watching his account. Like hawks, these reporters have Truth Social accounts, so they can sit there and watch President Trump to take anything that he says out of context. His silence on social media is probably the smartest political thing he has done, ever. And I enjoyed the tax cuts, by the way. I'm not saying that those were bad, I'm saying that his decision to do this is probably the smartest political decision he's made thus far. But he's not going to come back to Twitter, apparently, from Brooke Singman. Former President Trump will not return to Twitter, even as Elon purchases the social media company and reinstates his account, instead using his own Truth Social as the sole platform for his voice. Twitter announced that it would be acquired by Musk for $44 billion. The former president told Fox News Monday that he will formally join his own Truth Social over the next 7 days as planned. I'm not going to Twitter, okay? Twitter burned that bridge. I'm not going over there. I'm going to stay on Truth, Trump told Fox News. I hope Elon buys Twitter because he'll make improvements to it. And he's a good man. He's a great man. I like him. Like him a lot. He's like Kim Jong-un, okay? I like him a lot. Great guy. That Elon Musk. But I'm going to stay on Truth. Trump told Fox News that he'll begin truthing over the next week. The Trump media and technology group, social media platform Truth Social, formally launched last month and has been up and running under its brand new cloud services for 4 days. After having beta tests since February, former Rep. Devin Nunes is the company's CEO. We're taking in millions of people, okay? And what we're finding is the response on Truth is much better than being on Twitter, Trump said. Twitter is bots. Bots are terrible, okay? They're not real people. Real people worship me. Bots don't worship me. They're terrible people. Fake accounts, fake news. Fake news media, it's a terrible thing, okay, Sean? And we're doing everything that we can. The bottom line is I'm not going back to Twitter, okay? So, that is what we see off of that. Alright, let's go look at the Meltdown. While the Blaze is doing stupid shit again. Glenn Beck, buddy, you gotta fix your website. Either let me block the ads, or get rid of the fucking full screen shit. Alright, and one of the first ones, and one of the big improvements that Musk has already made to the platform, Sean King tweets out, because Sean King, a white, rich liberal, can make anything about racism. Sean King tweets out, at its root, Elon Musk wanting to purchase Twitter is not about left versus right. It's about white power. The man was raised in apartheid by a white nationalist. He's upset that Twitter won't allow white nationalists to target and harass people. That's his definition of free speech. It's of course coming from the account Biden voters posting their L's online, and we had to do a screenshot of this, by the way. We couldn't do a regular grab from his Twitter account because, drumroll please, at Sean King, this account doesn't exist. Already, Twitter's a better place. Let's see, what else do we have for the Meltdown here? Clay Travis tweets out, and this is the one I mentioned at the top of the show, where, well, you just want your side to be able to control it. MSNBC talent suddenly realized the owners of Twitter can rig the entire site. This is amazing to watch. Does he not realize this was already done to Republicans? Well, he does. He just liked it when it was being done to them. Let's listen.
You own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates, all of its nominees, or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election.
Weird. It's like that's already happened.
Elon Musk says this is all to help people because he is just a free speech, philosophically clear, open-minded helper. If you own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you.
I think this was more of, and I don't know who this guy is, but I think this was more of him saying the quiet part out loud. And yes, Jay, 10 SAT, SC Trojan, says, so long as it's your side that gets to rig the system, you're fine with it. Way to say the silent part out loud, Clay. What else do we have? Alex Jones might come back to the platform. That would make life infinitely more entertaining. Upon learning that Twitter was under new management, Alex Jones immediately filed an appeal of his account suspension. We can go to the InfoWars link, which we might actually just do that for the fun of it. But yes, here it is. Appeal an account suspension or locked account. Were you experiencing this issue? My desktop web browser. Description of problem. Account was suspended in 2018 as part of a widespread campaign to remove me from the internet. Whereas free speech is the bedrock of functioning democracy, I'm requesting my account be reinstated. Hey, does anybody have any popcorn? Let's have a quick look at this here. Again, we don't usually use InfoWars on this channel because they're not green check verified, but Alex Jones trends on Twitter after Musk buys the platform. From Infowars.com. With over 12,000 tweets mentioning his name, many users questioned whether the platform's new owner could reinstate Jones' account after it was unceremoniously shut down back in 2018 over alleged policy violations. Tim Pool says, Elon needs to bring back Trump, Alex Jones, Milo, and Loomer. Okay? And I'm not saying this because I particularly like these people. I'm a milquetoast fence sinner. And trust me, I'm not getting Vice money. I'm totally grassroots over here at timcast.com. And we need it by your support only. So pay me money. Pay me more than what Vice is paying me. Darren J. Beatty tweets out, now it looks like Elon Twitter deal is going through. What realistic free speech related changes do we need to see in order to conclude it's not just another political fire festival situation? And Robert Barnes comes back out and says, Alex Jones back. Election Wizard says, time to bring back hashtag Alex Jones. Jordan Schachtel, dossier at .substack.com, says, all you have to do is reset Twitter back to before Alex Jones was banned and relocate the company to a more freedom-friendly area. That solves most problems and fix the spam/bot issue. No need for an edit button and other niche stuff. The platform works great without the restraints. So, there you go. Alex Jones could be coming back. Hillel Newer says, I fear Elon could undermine the ideological diversity, equity, and inclusion on Twitter, which currently maintains a careful balance of 98.7% for one side. I don't know who this blue check is. International lawyer, human rights activist, writer, executive director, UN Watch, BA, BCL, LLB, LLM, Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Apparently Canadian. Possibly based. But yes. 98.7% employee donations to candidates by party at Twitter. So ideologically diverse. So diverse. LogicBot 3000, because they're going to come back out and try to do this here again. The absolute panic about Elon Musk buying up Twitter reminds me of the discourse around net neutrality a few years back. Is anyone here paying $14.99 a month to tweet? Well, no. I'm pretty sure that they don't, but yeah, a screenshot from all the way back. Twitter, $14.99 a month. Snapchat, $9.99 a month. YouTube, $19.99 a month. Netflix, $9.99 per movie. Google, $1.99 per search. If you don't want to pay extra for your favorite sites, you need to be supporting net neutrality. Which again, if they tried to do this, and I mean, they've been doing this forever. Way back in the MySpace days and the Facebook days, they started coming out saying, well, just someday the CEO is going to come back out. Now this is publicly traded. And they're going to start charging. You have to repost this and respread this. If you don't want to have to pay for this. If you want this to remain free, respread and recomment this back out. Or copy and paste or this or that, the next thing. And it never came. Because a lot of these CEOs know that they will lose their entire customer base if they did this. If Google went to $1.99 per search, do you think that there would be a Google left tomorrow? Netflix at $9.99 a movie after they're hemorrhaging users already? All right. And the last one. A little bit of another meltdown here for you. Hey, we're actually going to get into some other news here at the end of this, so that'll be fun. Lisa, Rex Road 1967, in all caps, by the way. What a boomer post this is. And of course, the handprint in the Ukrainian flag colors. How do we shout this out without cracking the microphone in your eardrums out here? Elon Musk being sued for racism. Hostile workplace does not make Twitter great again. It makes all social media run by right-wing radicals. We will not be broken. We will fight back with facts, or we will sue Elon for millions in personal suffering. Dude, if you are getting personal suffering based on who owns Twitter, go outside and touch some motherfucking grass. Seriously. And this has been what I've said from the top, from the beginning, from the first time that they started talking about this. Even back when Dorsey stepped down as CEO and Agrawal came back to this, because I do follow the rules on Twitter. I realized that they got much, much tighter after Parag took over, but I follow the rules on Twitter. I do what the terms of service says. I watch the accounts that get suspended and carefully monitor what I talk about with horse paste and fish tank cleaner. I follow all the rules of Twitter. But if I get kicked off Twitter, I wouldn't care. If your entire life is affected because of who wants Twitter, you need to go outside and touch some grass. You need to get off of social media. You need to get rid of all of your social media. Go outside, take a hike. I'm not saying that to be mean, like get out of here. I'm saying go find a trail near your house. Go for a hike. Go camping for a weekend. Get your little dumb phone. Stop using a smartphone so you don't have the temptation to go to your Facebook or your Twitter. Just get one that can receive some text messages and make some calls out. And go spend a week in Zion National Park. Or a month, for that matter. But go spend some time away from technology. Your mind is clearly warped. If this is what your biggest fear is who owns Twitter. I mean, before you do that, go leave more terrible takes like this because I need the fucking laughs, but... Alright, and then Jack Dorsey gets in on the action, and that's the last thing we're going to talk about with Twitter for the day. Former Twitter CEO Dorsey issues surprising statement about Elon Musk buying company. From Ryan Saavedra. Former Twitter CEO Dorsey responded Monday night to the news that Twitter's board of directors unanimously approved a $44 billion definitive agreement to be acquired by Elon Musk by saying that Musk is the singular solution that he trusts to fix the company's problems. I love Twitter. Twitter is the closest thing we have to global consciousness, Dorsey said, after he came down off the magic mushrooms that he was just running on for the last month and a half. The idea on service is all that matters to me. I will do whatever it takes to protect both. Twitter, as a company, has always been my sole issue and my biggest regret. It's been owned by Wall Street and the ad model. Taking it back from Wall Street is the correct first step. That was a problem, Tim, and we're looking into that. In principle, I don't believe anyone should own or run Twitter. Oh, Jesus Christ. Can't believe I'm reading this quote from a guy who just spent the last month and a half on fucking acid. It wants to be a public good, at a protocol level, not a company. Solving for the problem of it being a company, however, Elon is the singular solution I trust. I trust his mission to extend the light of consciousness. Oh my God. Dorsey, call me, hit me up. I want some of whatever the fuck you were just on. Wow. Elon's goal, creating a platform as maximally trusted and broadly inclusive, is the right one. This is also Paraga's goal and why I chose him. Thank you both for getting the company out of an impossible situation. This is the right path, and I believe it with all my heart. Holy shit. Wow. Man, I want some of what Dorsey just fucking took. What he just tripped on. The sale of the company, which Musk purchased for $54.20 a share, is expected to close this year, subject to the approval of Twitter shareholders and other regulatory approvals. And Dorsey then went back out to the hills of New Mexico and tripped balls on more fucking LSD. That's a problem, Tim, and we're looking into that. Alright, that's all that I have to say on Twitter, and like I said at the top, I don't really care who owns Twitter. I am here for the laughs, and I would like to see the ability to rebut some of the stupidity coming out of MSNBC or the left-wing politicians, and I'd like to see the botting go down. I want to see these people get ratioed the way they fucking deserve. And they deserve it. I want to see Hogg get ratioed off the platform. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. That would actually probably end his fragile sense of self-worth. If he didn't have 10,000 Twitter bots to stand up there and say, "We love your pillows, David!" We might have to do a wellness check on him if that happened. But that's what we see off of that. Let's go talk about the former president, who will not be going back to Twitter. Judge orders Cushman and Wakefield to comply with Trump property subpoenas for New York Attorney General probe. From Dan Mangan. A New York judge on Monday ordered the commercial real estate services giant, Cushman and Wakefield, to comply with subpoenas about its appraisals of several Trump Organization properties that are being eyed in a civil investigation by the New York Attorney General's office, a spokesperson for the office said. The order by Manhattan Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engeron came hours after the judge held former President Trump in contempt of court for failing to comply with another subpoena issued by AG Letitia James seeking business documents as part of her probe. The judge, a Democrat who was elected to the bench in 2015, said Trump would have to pay $10,000 per day in penalties for every day he failed to turn over the documents. The documents! Show me the documents! Trump's lawyer said she would appeal that ruling. For a second time today, a judge has made clear that no one is above the law, James said in a statement issued on Monday afternoon, after a hearing on Cushman and Wakefield's subpoenas. Cushman and Wakefield's work for Trump and the Trump Organization is clearly relevant to our investigation, and we're pleased that this now been confirmed by the court, James said. Our investigation will continue undeterred. James' investigation is focused on allegations that the Trump Organization misstated the true values of multiple real estate assets when it applied for loans and insurance coverage, and in tax-related filings in an effort to obtain more favorable financial terms. And they've got to do this, of course, on the civil side because no prosecutor will touch it. But they're going to come back out to try to sue this out. And really, honestly, for $10,000 a day, this is nothing but an attempt to drain the war coffers, the ability for Trump to run again in 2024. They are terrified. They're terrified of him going back to Twitter. They're terrified of him going back and running in 2024. This is terror. This is pure terror, the fact that he might come back out and do this, and they don't know. And it's excessive on top of it, too. And I hope that they win the appeal. I really do. And if they're misstating the true value, then you guys need to get better banking regulations because I'm going to tell you right now, if the bank didn't go back and do their own homework before they made out the loan, that's a shitty bank. Same with the insurance company. And I want to know the names of these banks and insurance companies so I don't go and do business with them. From CBS, Judge holds Trump in contempt for failing to turn over documents to New York Attorney General Letitia James. From Graham Cates. A New York judge on Monday held former President Trump in contempt and fined him $10,000 per day for failing to comply with a subpoena requiring him to turn over documents to investigators conducting a sprawling financial probe for New York Attorney General Letitia James. Mr. Trump, I know you take your business seriously, and I take mine seriously. I hereby hold you in civil contempt and fine you $10,000 per day, said New York Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engoron. The judge's written order will be filed tomorrow. Trump attorney Alina Habba said that after the hearing, they plan to appeal. We respectfully disagree with the court's decision today. All the documents, as explained, responsive to the subpoena, were already produced to the Attorney General months ago, Habba said. James's office asked for the contempt finding after Trump failed to meet a court-ordered March 31st deadline to turn over subpoena material, claiming he had none of the documents demanded in the civil probe. The March 31st deadline came and went, and we received 0 documents, Andrew Amer, an attorney for James's office, said in court on Monday. Amer later asked, is Trump thumbing his nose at the court's order? Trump attorney Alina Habba said that she personally oversaw the search for the documents, including flying to Florida to interview Trump at his Mar-a-Lago club. There is simply nothing more for him to provide. It was already provided, so Your Honor. How is President Trump in contempt? But Engoron appeared to believe that the explanation raised more questions about Trump's response to the subpoena, asking Habba why she didn't previously document the Mar-a-Lago interview. I feel like there's an 800-pound gorilla in the room, and that is, why don't we have the affidavit from him, Engoron asked, later adding, there is a difference between saying something and saying something under oath. Investigators want information from 3 mobile devices belonging to Trump, 2 of which were personal and 1 of which is a company-issued phone, according to a filings James' office made on Friday. Amer said Monday that he had not received data from any devices. Why? They're also seeking documents from specific Trump Organization file storage locations, such as the files located in cabinets outside of Mr. Trump's office, the storage room by Mr. Trump's office, the executive's office storage closet, and the file cabinets located on the 25th and 26th floors. In an at times testy back and forth between Habba, Engoron, and his clerk Allison Greenfield, Engoron said Trump's attorney failed to explain what they searched and how. Let's say you're going to say, I searched the files outside his office. I have an affidavit that says I searched the files outside his office, Engoron said. Well, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it sounds to me like somebody broke the chain of custody into this. If the lawyer is stating, and I don't know if she's under oath or not, but if she's stating that this is out there and can provide the documentations that the documents were turned over, then I would be willing to bet that somebody's sitting on them in James's office, especially in totally squeaky clean, never corrupt New York. I smell foul play here. I really do. Let's grab one from ABC 6. Trump held in contempt over New York subpoena will be fined $10,000 a day until he complies. No evidence of proper thorough search. We checked all this already. It's not punitive, Amer said. It's coercive. The dispute is the latest in a nearly 3-year civil investigation that made the judge wonder aloud, why is this matter taking so long? Trump has denied wrongdoing, and his attorneys have said the case shouldn't be allowed to be aimlessly and endlessly go on. This is a political crusade, Habba said. So yeah, they're doing crusading off of this. This is not a... As far as I can tell off, this is not a good faith effort into this. Let's grab one from USA Today. Federal judge will temporarily block Biden admin from lifting Title 42. From Rebecca Morin. A federal judge said that he will temporarily block the Biden admin from ending a Trump-era Title 42 policy that expels migrants from the U.S. borders to avoid the spread of the pinko-fucking-pox. The CDC announced April the policy will be rescinded on May 23rd. In a lawsuit brought by 21 Republican-led states, U.S. District Judge Robert Summerhays of Louisiana said in a notice on Monday that she will grant a temporary restraining order blocking the end of Title 42. Summer Hayes was appointed by former President Trump, which again, they did judge shopping. For the reasons I stated in the record, the court announced its intent to grant the motion, the notice said. The parties will confer regarding the specific terms to be contained in the temporary restraining order and attempt to reach the agreement. The CDC on April 1st said it was ending Title 42 because it was no longer necessary, after considering current public health conditions and an increased availability of tools to fight the pinko puck and pox. Which is fine. I would actually say end Title 42 because of the pinko puck and pox if it's actually over. But do keep in mind that in the same breath as the executive branch said that they were going to end Title 42 because COVID is over. We don't need to do it anymore. In the exact same breath, they said, we have to extend the deadline for when student loan payments restart again because pinko pox is upending everybody's life. And everybody is still upended off of this. And nobody has a good job. Nobody can afford to go start paying again. In the exact same week, they made both assertions. And I would say just get the fuck rid of both of them at this point. Start up the student loan payments again, get that stuff going, get that stuff started again, but also end Title 42 and find another way, a real way to deport people who are attempting to come over here illegally. Former President Trump created the policy known as Title 42 to protect the public health in 2020. Since coming to office, the Biden admin has embraced it under the same justification, denying critics' assertions they're using it to curb immigration. So we'll see what happens with that and where that goes. From Politico, DeSantis signs bill creating the nation's only election police units. From Gary Fineout, Ron DeSantis on Monday approved the creation of a new standalone election police force designed to crack down on voter fraud in the nation's third largest state. The Republican governor had proposed the creation of a special unit to tackle election crimes as he came under pressure from some Republicans to do a full-blown audit of the 2020 election, even though former President Trump had little trouble winning Florida. I don't think there's any other place in the country that you should have more confidence that your vote counts than in the state of Florida, DeSantis said Monday during the bill signing event at a sports bar north of the Tampa Bay area. The new law will create an Office of Election Crimes and Security in the Department of State and will authorize the use of additional investigators who work with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Legislators set aside more than $2.6 million in 25 positions for the two agencies. Man, we are moving awfully close to auth-right. But the measure was watered down from one that initially had local election officials warning it was a recipe for disaster. The first version of the bill would have required voters to place additional identification requirements on mail-in ballots, starting the 2024 elections, and to use an extra envelope. Local election supervisors warned that this would lead to voter confusion. Instead, legislators agreed to have the state elections officials do a study and return with recommendations. Democrats opposed the creation of the new election police and said it was unneeded. Even the governor has said that Florida's 2020 election was secure, yet this new election crime task force has been developed to solve a problem that does not exist. Yvonne Hayes Hinson of Gainesville said in a statement, its implementation will put additional barriers to voting and targets communities of color. This bullying tactic will intimidate and immobilize workers, families, and everyday people. Look, I have got to look way more into this law. I wanted to make sure that we talked about it so that people knew that this existed, but I'm not a fan of this, as presented. I'm going to put that moniker out there as an as presented because as we found out with the Ukrainian-Russia thing, as we found out with a lot of the things surrounding the Elon Musk takeover of Twitter, as we have found out on things pertaining to the villages in the state of Florida. There is so much propaganda that is going on things that Democrats and Republicans find so dear, like the Ukraine, like Florida, like Texas and they're, quote, turning blue. There's so much propaganda surrounding this, I don't even know what the truth is anymore. As presented, if everything that Politico has presented here is accurate, I don't like this bill. But Politico has been known to embellish things. And I've not read the source material yet, so I can't come back out and say that this is absolutely the be-all, end-all either. I'd like to look into this a little bit more and see what's going on with these police and if there's some crackdown, if this is voter intimidation or what's going on with this. But yes, as presented, this is a bad idea. Propaganda abound. Let's grab the last one here from Reuters, and we'll do Twitter trending and head out of here for the day. We started with finance, and we will close with finance. Analysis. U.S. trucking downturn foreshadows possible economic gloom. From Lisa Bertlein. Craig Fuller monitors millions of transactions between U.S. truckers and their customers as chief executive of transportation data company FreightWaves, and he does not like what he's seeing. There's been an unexpectedly sharp downturn in demand to truck everything from food to furniture since the beginning of March, and rates in the overheated segment that deals in on-demand trucking jobs, known as the spot market, are skidding. It basically just dropped off a cliff, said Fuller, who is concerned that the U.S. is at the start of a trucking recession that could decimate truckers' ability to dictate prices and push some small trucking firms into bankruptcy. Meanwhile, investors and financial analysts worry that what will happen if the trucking slump deepens and spreads. History has proven trucking to be a possible indicator for the U.S. economy. That is because when people buy less, companies ship less, and business activity slows. Economic recessions following 6 of the 12 trucking recessions since 1972, according to analysis by trucking data company Convoy. Experts predicted trucking would soften a bit as pandemic-worried customers shifted some spending from goods and services in response to the U.S. lifting the pinko pox prevention measures, but they did not foresee Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, which sent fuel prices to record highs. Are you fucking kidding? Jolted already volatile stock markets and forced shoppers to hit pause. And now, trucking's most demand-sensitive sector, the spot market, is in correction territory. It's proverbial canary in the mine shaft, said Joseph Rakavax, director of the governmental affairs for the Western States Trucking Association. The group represents small trucking companies that dominate the spot market, which handled as much as 30% of the freight during the height of the pandemic. The spot rate deterioration hit when diesel prices were roughly doubling, battering the take-home pay of truckers like Marco Padilla, 63. A few years ago, California-based Padilla spent 25 to 30 cents per mile to run his truck. So far, every dollar of pay I was pocketing 70 cents. Now it costs $1 a mile, said Padilla. Average first quarter spot rates, including fuel, dove 55 cents, excluding fuel, dove 55 cents from $2.78 per mile in mid-January to $2.23 on April 14th. Spot rates normally drop about 22 cents per mile during that period, said Dean Croak, a freight market analyst at DAT Freight and Analytics. While spot rates remain 37 cents per mile above what they were during the last bull market. In April of 2018, they fell 6 pence year over year earlier this month, marking the first such reversal of the current cycle. That's where the fear is that the floor? Does this keep going? Croak said the demand-led decline. This is interesting to see, especially when it comes to the spot market, which is owner-operator. Now, I remember what the last recession looked like coming back out of here, where you're going into big truck dealerships, like the one that I used to work at, where people are playing football across the floor because there's no customer coming in. The big fleets are either fixing it themselves for a reduced rate, unless there was something manufacturer-specific that they can do, but the right to repair is starting to affect some of that as well. Or, the owner-operators are either getting out of the business or not getting things fixed and stretching things as far as they can until there's an absolute emergency, or taking it to independence when they can. This is an indicator, and we could see what we saw. 08, 09, 2010. The bottom out of the housing market. people not buying, people unable to go back and refinance, to go back and either save money on their loans or take a bit of equity out of their homes. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot to watch, there's a lot to see. And it's something to pay attention to as we go. It definitely is. So, we will continue to watch where the economy goes, and especially where the markets go on the transport, and we will head out of here for the day. But before we do, the last thing that we do on Tuesday is Twitter trending. We go see what's trending on Twitter, which is probably going to be a lot of stuff about Elon Musk today, I'm going to say. And use that to shape what the news looks like tomorrow. So, we will skip the Tuesday vibe, Tuesday thoughts, Tuesday everything else. Motivation, I think, is the other one. And we will start with the number 2 trend of the day, which is Camping World. Tuesday RV giveaway starts now. Pick 3 retweets to win a new at Camping World RV. My daughter's special needs, as both kids are getting older. I would love the opportunity to travel on vacation with them. Because we haven't been able to take any vacations together as a family, I would cherish the chance to make memories again. Hashtag Camping World. So apparently, if you retweet with the hashtag Camping World right now, and if you retweet this back out, you might be able to go and win a camper. A small single axle pull behind camper, but a camper nonetheless. I'm not going to do this because I don't have a place to put a camper right now, but I might do this just for fun. I might still go back and see what we can do off of this. The gift tax and everything, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Number 2, Daily Quirtle 92. For our friend Arvold. People attempt to guess the 4 or 5 letter words at once in Quirtle, which is a take on the viral brain teaser Wordle. Massive Mogul got 6974. Chuck Forster lost, and also got 897, lost on the upper left corner. Sager Kier also lost on the upper left corner, also got 573. Alex Carroll, 7654. So post your scores. What was your score, Harvolt? If you're still here, what was your score on today's Quirtle? 4786. 6475. Oh, excuse me. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Let's see. Number 4, which will be our third one, is hashtag leaving Twitter. People are tweeting that they're leaving Twitter. The rest of us. Here's the door. Thank you, KB. Imagine leaving Twitter because you're not being restricted, or because you're being restricted, or sorry, not because you're being restricted or censored, but because your political opponents are not. This is petty authoritarian mindset that now characterizes the left in this country. For everyone who's leaving Twitter due to the Twitter takeover, a parting gift from me to you. This is Lunar Archivist. Public service announcement. The right to free speech means the government can't arrest you for what you say. It doesn't mean that anyone else has to listen to your bullshit or host you while you share it. The First Amendment doesn't shield you from criticisms or consequences. If you're yelled at, boycott it, have your show canceled, or get banned from an internet community, your free speech rights aren't being violated. It's just that people listening to you think you're an asshole and they're showing you the door. And again, if you really had that much problem with the people on Twitter, there's that block button. I almost did the song. All right. Number 5, which is our number 4, things you should never mess with. Home Cooks Are Sexy tweets out, things you should never mess with. My kitchen. I'm creating masterpieces here. And they do look good. I believe I follow this person. Yes, I do. And yes, these things look amazing. I want the recipe for whatever that is with the broccoli. That looks really good. A woman who says nothing's wrong. Hashtag things you should never mess with. Every ideal relationship with a narcissist. Things you should never mess with. The system. Things you should never mess with. The mouse. Things you should never mess with. Logic. Things you should never mess with. Lowe's. Taking the guesswork out of storing the bodies. Capacities. 1 person, 3 to 7 cubic feet. Small family, 8 to 14 cubic feet. Medium to large family, 15 to 26 cubic feet. That's how much freezer space you need to hide the bodies. Things you should never mess with. My knowledge of everything. I'm done being an expert in vaccines. I'm now an expert on the conflict in Ukraine. Well, I think now they're done being experts in the conflict in Ukraine. Now they're experts in finance and public traded companies. All right, and the last one, number 6. Because we can say it on the platform once again. COVID-19. Ivermectin does not reduce the risk of COVID-19 hospitalizations. Clinical study shows, but that's not why it's trending. Why is it trending? Because a lot of people, and we are on YouTube right now, so I'm actually not going to read a lot of these, but a lot of these are out there because horse paste is being said aloud on Twitter, and people aren't getting deboosted or deranked because of it. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still working on a Wojcicki and Sundar Pichai platform, and also a Bezos platform on the other side. So a lot of this I can't read. But yes, the horse paste is trending. I can't even play that video. I'm telling you right there. Because of the things she says. You'll get popped for misinformation on YouTube for that. But with that, those are our 5 Twitter trends. Let's head out of here for the day. I almost want to use this as the outro again. I love this song. This song is a great one. Button Masher and DJ Cutman, together at last. Button Masher, my second favorite guitar shredding piano player. Right next to Stephen Ignoramus. Alright, let's finish her out. I don't think Button Masher would like me using his music. I don't think he would like me very much. All right, and with that, we're going to head out of here for the day. Thanks everybody who came by and chatted with us and took a laugh and a victory lap around the Twitterverse for everything that we've seen coming out of here. I will be back here tomorrow with more contemporary, so come back and join me for that. We will see what the actual news is now that the news of the Twitter takeover is gone. We might still have some Meltdown posts because I think that there's still going to be a lot of them, but we will look for other news. We will go and check that out. Maybe we'll see some Ukraine stuff. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some COVID stuff. Maybe we'll find some other moral panic to come out here and tell everybody that if you take the misinformation from Twitter, you're going to literally kill people. I don't know. The news cycle changes every 24 hours. We will see what's happening with the finance. We will see what's happening with the news, and we will see you next time, 7:30 Central Time, weekday mornings over here on Contemporary. Stick around if you're on Twitch. We're going rating, and we will see you next time. And until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.